underdogs. I'm an underdog. I've been through it all.
What's good, you guys? Welcome to For the Underdogs podcast. I hope everybody out there is doing well. I'm here in Miami and in Florida with the PAC community, and we're doing Next Chapter U. It's been a dope event. I'm here with the co-founder and co-CEO of the whole thing all together. So this man is the reason that we are here, and I'm super excited to talk to him because what he's done has been super impactful. So I would love to welcome Chip, and I appreciate you being here.
Oh man, I'm thrilled to be here. It's so cool for us to see a PAC member doing the podcast live.
Yeah.
At the PAC,
Yeah, that's real.
And the players are all talking about it, so it's a great experience for everybody, and everybody can relate to being an underdog,
Man,
right?
That's right. Talk to me a little bit about your story and how this whole thing of PAC came about.
Oh man,
yeah.
So if you go way back, I grew up in South Florida. My parents are amazing, but went through some financial challenges. So when I got to college, I went up to DC for college and had been out of Florida like twice in my life. I didn't own a winter coat. I hadn't seen snow. I hadn't seen much of the world. I didn't have really two nickels to rub together, honestly. I put myself through school. So it completely changed my life. I had a great experience at George Washington University in D.C., met my wife. We're still together 32 years later.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's my girl.
Yeah.
Hey, Gabby. So reason I start there is education really did very early become super meaningful for me. I mean, I got a Pell Grant to attend. Next thing you know, I'm living next to the White House and seeing the world, meeting incredible people. It exposed me to a bunch of things to allow me to really run at a bunch of exciting opportunities over a long time period. So that's how I got into education. Is right after college, I was working for a U.S. senator, and I came up with this crazy idea with a classmate to start our first company, and it was called Standard Deviance. It was middle school, high school, college courses taught by comedians. PBS show. The show did really well, but the business model was tough. So we sold 5 million DVDs. Back then, there was no internet. It makes me sound like a dinosaur. You put it on TV and then you sell stuff. We sold a lot of product, but I did that over 10 years, and it was my first entrepreneurial experience. When I look back on it, brought me great. I learned a ton, but I didn't really make any money.
Right.
You fast forward a couple of years, and I was CEO of Hooked on Phonics, which was a good job that I had. I didn't start it, but it was a good job. And I left to start this company called 2U. Now, 2U, at the time, this is 2008, so I left what was my first really good paying job to actually start this company called 2U. And online education was not done by the great schools at that time. The only people that were doing online education was like University of Phoenix. So like all the schools that all of our players went to weren't doing online ed.
That's right.
And so we convinced 3 great universities to actually begin offering their degrees online, and we would power it. So at the time it was very controversial, but the schools were Georgetown, USC, and Chapel Hill. So 3 really great brands.
Yeah, for sure.
And I did that, and the company took off. So I left a good paying job. I talk to the players often about this because like at 37 with 2 kids, I started a company that eventually got to $1 billion in revenue. It became one of the biggest online education companies in the world. But I didn't start until I was 37 with 2 kids.
Yeah.
So for somebody to tell you guys that you're, quote, retired at 31 is ridiculous.
It is.
It's not life.
It is, yeah.
I'm 54, and PAC is my proof that I'm nowhere near done.
Right.
And to be honest, as big as 2U got, I think that PAC will be the most important thing I ever do.
Why is that?
So if you combine everything I care about, education, mentoring, entrepreneurship, and just passion for helping people develop, like you guys are completely elite and you really don't know it. And if we help you get exposure to new things, you will become elite in a new context, because it's not just that you had great athletic ability. That's like table stakes. You brought a bunch of things to the table that allow you to be an NFL player.
Absolutely.
And it's not just your ability to run fast or hit hard or whatever position you're playing. It's the grit, the rigor, the drive, the ability to get hit, get back up again, resilience. Like these are things that people in the world really try to hire for and have a really hard time hiring all of those traits. So, and unfortunately, the downside of not having a great community of people around you, a lot of guys are going to kill themselves. A lot of guys are going to actually harm themselves. The world is remarkably unkind to the former professional athlete. And it doesn't need to be that way.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there's this stigma, or there's this, this notion that the world doesn't cater to the former athlete, because a lot of guys go through that position.
It's crazy. And fans don't, I'm a huge, and
I know for sure.
I'm a huge Dolphins fan. I'm a huge fan. I did last year, I think I did 12 games or 13 games. So I love the NFL. Fans have no clue how rough everything about the business is, and once you're done playing, phone stops ringing. You have massive identity loss because you've been. So when I hung up, I took 2U public, by the way. I was a public CEO for 10 years. It's a grind being a public CEO. And there's some similarity, even though it's completely different, to being a professional athlete. Like I had all of the public sort of scorn, the Twitter stuff, all that kind of stuff. And I founded that company. I was one of the founders. So my identity was completely caught up in 2U. When I left 2U to go to PAC, I had these moments of real identity loss. I have a guy that's become a very close friend that went through something similar to me leaving my company. And he said, when you're done being the public company CEO that you founded, you're going to be standing in line at Starbucks. And man, at first you're going to be jacked. You're just another guy standing in line at Starbucks. Until you get to the counter, and then you're going to be shitting your pants. You're just another guy standing in line at Starbucks, because you realize like you had this really big job with this public platform, and all of a sudden you're just another guy. Well, think about you having 80,000 people screaming your name coming out of the tunnel. There's almost no experience like that.
Right.
And then the other thing that's interesting about it that people don't understand is you actually got significant scorn for doing anything that wasn't football.
That's right.
If you did anything that wasn't football, doesn't matter what it is, like this, you would actually be ripped for doing that thing. Well, that's not life. I mean, people have other interests, and that makes you a better, more well-rounded human being.
For sure.
So you put all this together of like it becoming very clear that you were able to play football at this level at an early age, and having everything revolve around football, and your entire schedule planned for you in a very intense way, then all of a sudden it's gone. People really struggle. And the world isn't friendly to them. Now, one of the things we tell the guys, and you've heard this, is like, if you really start putting chips down in things that'll drive your burn, whatever it is you're going to, like, I love that you have passion for this. It makes me deeply proud to be on your podcast.
I appreciate that.
But as you find this burn, if you put the reps in, all those skills you had that you played on the field with are going to be directly relevant. Like, you think about every rep that you took in training camp and how the way to make this work is to keep putting in the reps and just be disciplined about it. And you guys have that ability. So I think we will change the narrative of the former professional athlete. I do. I think we can do it at scale. It's a worldwide problem. It's across all leagues. We have our first pro curler here, by the way.
Okay.
Professional curler. He's here. And I mean, by the way, he was making really good money in Canada. But, if you talk to anybody in these various sports, all the sports have different physical characteristics. They're different games, but the identity loss when you come out is very significant across the board, and it's also global. So I think we're doing something much bigger than people realize.
You are,
and it excites me. Like, for me personally, there's this Japanese term that
ikigai. I wanted to ask you, what does it mean, and what does it mean to you?
So your ikigai is like, you can simplify it as like your reason for being. And it's in the middle of 4 concentric circles. So it's where these 4 circles overlap. And the 4 things are what the world needs. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. What the world needs, what you're good at, what you can get paid for, and what you love. And if you can find those 4 things, if you can find the center of it, that's a blessing. And what's cool for me is to hear my kids say, Dad, PAC's your Ikigai. They know PAC's my Ikigai. The world needs it badly. I'm real good at it. I can get paid for it. And man, I fucking love it. Should I not curse?
No, you good.
So I love it. And, interestingly, with some reflection, as proud as I am of 2U and what it became, I had 4,000 employees and we did really important things. I really love this. I love the personal development. I love watching guys grow, like being here in South Beach.
Yeah.
I just had a player walk up to me, and he'd just come from a commercial real estate deep dive, and he was completely floored. And he said, you know what? I promise you, you give me the next 2 years of PACs, and by the time we get 2 years from now, I will have 3 or 4 commercial properties. That is going to change my life. That's what I really want to do. Now, once again, I personally, commercial real estate is not what I have great passion for. That's not the point.
For sure.
It's what you guys burn for.
Yeah.
And how to give you direction, how to put a good network around you.
Yeah.
So I think we're really onto something.
Yeah. What draws you to wanting to be able to help these athletes? It takes a special person to be able to say, you're going to be a funnel to these guys and give them the ability. I
don't know if it takes a special education really did change my life.
Yeah.
I also love startups. I love entrepreneurship. I'm a startup guy. I'm crazy enough to have, this is my third one. Most people aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But, getting the team together and building a cohesive team to actually go after a big problem. I always tell when I mentor entrepreneurs that come in for advice, there's so much that I have to say. But the first thing I say is I know enough to be dangerous and not that thoughtful, so process my advice through your own lens. But once we get through that disclaimer, it's like, if you can really tackle a big problem, if you can solve somebody's big problem, there's a big business in it. This is a real problem, and I think we can really solve it. And I think we are solving it.
Yeah.
If you look at the outcomes from the people that are going through the programs, it's very, very motivating to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I also do love that we're doing it for a group of people that, when you galvanize them the right way, it's entirely possible that the underdogs gets real big.
Yes.
It's a good idea. It's smart.
Appreciate that.
And you're on it. You guys are on it.
Thank you.
And, I want to help you see it grow. So my wife would tell you that I personally, I'm just motivated by mentoring people. I like it. If they're good people.
Yeah. I love that. I want to get back to Ikigai real quick. How does someone get into the middle of that? How does someone find the balance of...
It's hard because, I was talking to somebody about it yesterday and I said, I'm not telling you that if you haven't found your Ikigai, you can't have fulfillment, because some people have a very, work life that they don't love what they do, but they're making good enough money, they're raising a good family, and that's how they choose to run your life. But there's no question, if you could find the thing that not only the world needs, you can get paid for, you're good at it, that's relevant, and you love it. If you could really find that fourth quadrant of the love, you're going to be happier, you're going to be healthier, your family life is going to be better. So it took me 54 years and I found my Ikigai, right? We started PAC, I was 52 when we started. So, I didn't find it right away.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. The very first company, the PBS show, the funny thing about that one, I didn't have all 4 because I couldn't really get paid for it.
Right.
That was the one I was missing.
Yeah.
The world needed it.
Yeah.
I was pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And I loved it, but I didn't have the get paid for it part.
Okay.
So we think the business of PAC is actually a very sound business, and that I'm a big believer that your business model is a really important part of we talk a lot about durable moat. How do you build a durable moat around your business if it's a startup?
I love that.
And so I think PAC, the durable moat of PAC, I actually credit my co-founder with, to be honest, which is trust.
Yeah.
I think that's the durable moat of PAC.
I love that.
Trust. That the guys trust us to help help them figure out their riddles, help them figure out their burn. And I give Caleb a tremendous amount of respect for doing the grind the way he did from inside a team for real long. Now, I'm very relevant, don't get me wrong. When we came together, I know how to scale, like I bring a bunch of attributes to the table. And, and at 52, I'd done some stuff, so there's a playbook that I've had a lot of reps in that I'm now playing. I'm now running the reps.
That's right.
So I'm very relevant, but I really think Caleb very early on created, a values-based trust relationship with the players. And it'll be very difficult for others to replicate it because like if I was going to wake up in the morning and start a community of pro athletes, who the hell's going to join if you don't have that?
That's right.
That trust.
Man, Caleb is a special guy. And,
he's awesome.
I told him that.
So is Travis.
Yeah, Travis as well. With all of these things that you've started up and all of these businesses that you've been a part of, what was one of the hardest lessons you had to learn? I think that's something that a lot of people, would
so
love to
unfortunately, in startups, if you do 5 things, you're going to fail. If you do 4 things, you're going to fail. If you do 3 things, you're going to fail. If you do 2 things, you might get lucky and not fail. And unfortunately, if you pick the wrong one thing, you also fail. That's why they're so hard.
Yeah.
Everything's more complicated than you think it's going to be. You got to be really nimble on your feet. And companies can fail under their own weight. I've seen it. There's too many things at once. So you need to focus. And, it took me a while. Like my first company, I was more like, there's this old movie, Poltergeist, where this ghost takes over the house and there's this little girl, Carol Ann, and there's this lady saying, Carol Ann, don't go into the light. And she goes into the light and then all kinds of bad shit happens. For an entrepreneur, the light is like the shiny new thing. And you almost can't help yourself because you're an optimist. By definition, if you're an entrepreneur, like you are an entrepreneur in the podcast world and you are going for it and you believe. So the bright, shiny new object, you were often very hopeful for. And I just had too many bright, shiny new objects in my first company. So I had to learn to focus the hard way. With PAC, I'm not responsible for everything, but I'm definitely, in part at least, me and Travis and I are responsible for the focus.
Yeah.
It's pretty special what's going on here. I also, because I've seen some things, I would tell you that, I keep telling Travis and Caleb, because they're both really good, but they haven't done this before.
Yeah.
And I have. So there are times where that could come off like, hey, I've seen it all. That's not what I mean. But I've seen enough to respect how well this team has come together and to care and feed it the right way. Like it's going well enough. It doesn't always start this way.
Yeah. Yeah, so don't take that for granted.
Don't take that for granted. And enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines of entrepreneurship came from Sheryl Sandberg, who was the COO of Facebook. And a legendary line from her is, if you're offered a ride on a rocket ship, don't ask what seat, just get on. And it's really powerful. Like this is kind of a rocket ship in process.
Yeah. I love that. So what does Chip do next from PAC? Obviously, you want to keep growing it.
I mean, it's interesting. That's a good question. These are good questions, by the way. I would say we have a big vision for this being a global company. We do think that this will go across all sports. I think the world's going to get quite interesting as we go from, like right now we're at 600 guys. We're on our way to 1,000. What happens when we're at 10,000 pro athletes? Who's got 10,000 pro athletes in a community? Nobody.
Yeah.
So I think the world's going to get real interesting. I think that's when there will be all kinds of interesting new opportunities that will benefit our members and benefit the company. So, we do think over time it will have a much bigger media platform. It's a very natural progression. There's a bit of a flywheel. The more athletes we get, the more followers we have, the more opportunities for those athletes. Therefore, the more athletes, the more followers, the more opportunities.
Right.
But we have to do it in a manner that is true to the brand. We don't want you as a member to feel that we are here to say, hey, let me take a cut of you. No. We're here to support and grow you. And if we do that, I think that'll accrue to the benefit of the members. But I don't think this is going to be small. I think this is going to get really big.
Yeah, I believe so too.
And I think the team is the right team.
Yeah.
You know, something I would say about leadership is like, it doesn't always happen this way. And the fact that those two cats were college captains together, and that I only met Travis Key through going to a Dolphins business combine that I helped Caleb run, and that we do as well as we do together.
Yeah.
It also doesn't happen most of the time.
It's supposed to be that way.
It's right. He's got a engineer's mind.
Yeah.
He's an engineer, and he's very he's very thoughtful, practical, and rigorous.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit more of an artist, if that's not, and I don't mean that to compliment myself.
For sure,
like, you know, if you looked at my notes when I take notes, I don't take them a lot. And when I take them, there's all kinds of doodles all over.
Yeah.
This is where my brain works.
Yeah.
So we complement each other really well. And then Caleb might be one of the more powerful people that I've ever met.
Yeah, he really is.
I use that word, powerful.
Yeah, that's real.
Powerful guy.
Yeah, he is powerful. What's the best piece of advice that you can give somebody who is outside of PAC right now and they're seeing what's going on and they're an athlete and they're not sure if they want to jump in or not? What would you say?
You know, you know what I was going to say to the other question that relates to this is we're also really working hard to now build programs for people that don't have the benefit that the NFL or NBA has.
Ooh, I love
so we think
that.
that's going to be like, you'll see something from us on that over the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And we're starting to do some new things. Like we're doing our first elite experience in January of next year. Richard Branson has invited us to do PAC at Necker Island, his private island in the Caribbean, which is going to be pretty crazy. It's only 28 for 28.
Yeah.
It's 28 rooms, so it's, you know, it's tiny.
Yeah.
And we're doing something that is super profound. And this one might take me a little bit to explain, but it's June 12th to 14th. It's in Montgomery, Alabama. So a very dear friend of mine sold his company for a big bag of money, and he bought the most infamous building in the history of the civil rights movement. It was the Bank of the Confederacy. Rosa Parks was arrested outside, and the slave trade ran through the basement. It's unreal. He restored it, and he's turning it into a leadership institute for all diversity issues.
Wow.
Which, by the way, to do that right now, with everything going on right now.
100%.
So I was very fortunate that I was invited to be part of the first 20 leaders, a bunch of CEOs, went through the program. I did it last week. And I can't overstate how life-changing it was. So we're doing a collaboration with them for PAC. PAC will bring a group of players June 12th to 14th to focus on leadership, diversity, and social impact. And I mean, we're doing it with Dr. Fred Gray. Dr. Fred Gray is 95.
Wow.
He was Rosa Parks' attorney.
Wow.
We're going to Martin Luther King's church.
Powerful.
We're walking the Edmund Pettus Bridge where Sunday Bloody Sunday happened. If I talk about it too long, like, it was unbelievably powerful. I walked out of there fundamentally different, even though I came to the picture, in my opinion, with a good sense of the importance of diversity-related issues.
Man.
But it was mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
I can
You're like
imagine.
walking through history. By the way, you got to come.
Yeah, I'm there.
We could do this there.
Yeah,
Seriously.
absolutely. They would
love
be
that.
Awesome.
They would let you do this there. I guarantee you.
Man, that would be awesome.
So
I would
it's June
love
12th to 14th. It's going to be epic. So that's coming up.
That's awesome, man. So many great things coming from PAC. So many great opportunities for these guys that have come through this, organization or are still within this organization. I can't be thankful enough for the experience I had in Arizona. I know I shot you a text after, like, Chip, man, this was life-changing, and it really inspired me from an inner standpoint. So I can't thank you enough for being a part of this and what you stand for, because I know a lot of guys are looking for that.
Thanks, man.
Out of you. So I appreciate it.
It's a blessing. So I tell you, what I might leave you with is just a personal story related to my my favorite sort of personal tagline.
Please.
So I met this guy when I was boating one day who really, I was docking my boat, he was docking his boat, we hit it off, and I forgot about him, went about my business. Next morning, I'm standing in line for coffee. I see this guy again, really wonderful guy, chatting me up, just really, and I turned to him and I said, you're pretty awesome. And he goes, every day's a holiday, every meal's a feast. And I said, what? And he goes, every day's a holiday, every meal's a feast. And I said, can you slow down? And he goes, every day is a holiday. Every meal's a feast. And I look at him, and I'm like, and he goes, I was a grade A son of a bitch funeral director for 30 years. He said, I had a massive heart attack, woke up in this hospital. All I could do was count the ceiling tiles. And he goes, don't wait till you're counting the ceiling tiles to process that statement. Every day is a holiday, every meal's a feast. I never forgot about it since.
That's real.
And, you know, if you can think that way, you're going to be a better human being. Everything around you is going to be better. People are going to be better. Your work's going to be better. Your family life is going to be better. Your faith's going to be better.
Yeah.
So that's what I would leave you with.
Man, I appreciate that story. That's powerful, man. That's something that I'll always remember. And I'm sure we're going to do this again, and it's going to be...
Maybe in Montgomery, Alabama.
Hey, could be. I'm down. I just want to say thank you for having us, man, and thank you for being on the platform.
Awesome.
Cool, man.
Yeah, for the underdogs, I'm an underdog.